All right, so college life, but we're coding through it. So you're currently a
Senior in college now.
senior in
Mhm.
college, and you go to an all-women's college,
Yes. Hmm.
but you take classes at like
Yes.
different campuses.
Yeah. So my
Yeah.
school doesn't do a computer science program. They have data science. So I've taken all their data science courses, but I wanted to go more like the software engineering route. So I went
Yeah.
ahead and I majored in computer science, and they have this program where I can take courses at the surrounding schools around me. So
Mhm.
I primarily take courses at two other schools, which is pretty cool because I kind of get like different like vibes of the
Yeah.
courses, professors, people, environments. So that's pretty cool, and just getting different like insights of how they teach the computer science class.
Okay, so let's talk about the vibes. And we're not gonna name names
Yeah,
on the schools,
yeah.
but for those who know, you know. But
Hmm.
like the all women's school that you go
Hmm.
to, what's kind of the vibe there?
Yeah.
And especially like as a because you're a first generation
Yes.
Latina
Hmm.
woman going to college, like what is the vibe?
Kind of a shell shock for me going into the other schools because I was like used to like going into a classroom with a bunch of other women,
Yeah.
especially specifically in like the tech classes that I had. It
Hmm.
was a lot of women of color, so you just kind of felt like you were with like people who were just like you, first generation. But it's nice because you can be with other people who are kind of your background. And then
Hmm.
when I went to the other colleges for the first time, so more of a typical college scenario for most people.
Typical
Yes,
campus. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Co-ed and all that stuff. It was
Uh-huh.
definitely like, obviously I knew computer science has is compiled of mostly men, but
Hmm.
going into like the classroom with a lot like people who were mostly guys instead of girls was a little intimidating at first. But
Hmm.
obviously, like you get used to it, and you kind of just again you stick to your roots. So like I talk a lot with the girls who are in class,
Yeah.
especially like the girls of color, which is super cool.
So when you were in high school,
Mhm.
and fun fact, Kayla's actually from Arizona. She
Yes.
did not grow up in Minnesota. So when you were in high school, like, what did you think college would be like
Mhm.
versus what it actually is like for you?
Yeah, I thought college was gonna be like, not to say college is not hard, but I thought
Hmm.
it would be a lot harder. I took a
Yeah.
lot of like advanced classes in high school. Like to be honest, if I were to go back to high school, I wouldn't spend all that time like killing myself in those classes. I would
Yeah.
enjoy like my
Hmm.
senior year, especially me being from Arizona, enjoying my time with family and friends from Arizona. Like I wish
Hmm.
I would have kind of relaxed, especially my senior year. Just because
Yeah.
like I mean, if that's what you're into, like advanced classes do help, but it didn't really do that much for me that
Yeah.
it was like life changing. I
Hmm.
think it would have been better if I spent it more with like friends and stuff. But
Yeah.
as far as like when I got into college, it was nice because I felt like I could manage more of my time. Like I could do what I wanted to do
Well, speaking
around.
of that, like with the time, I feel like that was an adjustment for me. And I started college a long time ago, over a decade ago.
Mhm.
But I feel like going from high school to college, like, you really have to be responsible.
Yeah.
Nobody's telling you,
Mhm.
like nobody's checking attendance or whatever to like see like oh, did you come to class today, like it's on you. And if you miss a whole bunch of classes, you're not going to pass, like
Yeah.
you're not going to pass, so that's on you.
Yep.
Like you have to be responsible for you. And I feel like that was like a big adjustment for me because you're in high school, you have like seven or eight I don't
Mhm.
know how much it is now. I'm far removed now, but like you have like 7 8 classes all in just like during the day, one building. But then you start college and it's just like you have like this building, you gotta go this building, this building. You have class at like 8 a.m., then you have another class at like 2 p.m. Like it's just
Yeah.
like it's different. Like how was that for you?
Yeah, no, I definitely remember like having to take like the 7 to 8 classes in high
Yeah.
school, and I remember being like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna how it's gonna be like in college, except like
Mhm.
way harder, just because
Yeah.
it's college." But no, like if you're taking 16 credits, you're taking around like 4 classes.
Right. Mhm.
Maybe you do like the 18 credits, you're like taking 4.5 classes, and so it's
Mhm.
really not that bad, because you can focus on four of the just the 4 classes, and then you would
Yeah.
split your time against those 4 instead of having to split your time against 8, which
Mhm.
is always better. Like I always am someone's like quality over quantity. So it's
Yeah.
like you can really like invest in those classes, learn the content, and you just are
Uh-huh.
so much better off. And you're doing things that are more that you're interested in. So in high
Mhm.
school you had to take like history courses, maybe you're not into that. And then once
Yeah.
you get into college, like you're able to choose your electives, or if you want to do more
Right.
computer science, then you can do that as well.
Yeah. So you usually take like 18 credits a semester?
Yeah. So
That's kind of a lot.
yeah, you did not have to take 18 credits in a
Okay.
semester. I personally did
Uh-huh.
most of my college career only because I am graduating a semester early.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I did take mostly 18 credits,
Yeah.
but even then, like it wasn't terrible, and that's as a
Oof,
computer science
that's a
major.
lot.
It's a lot, but if
Yeah.
you think about it, it's like okay, like I can get this done in 3.5 years. Like I
Yeah.
think the 18 is worth it. But again, it's like it's all up to your pace. Don't do something
Yeah.
because someone else did it that way. You have to
Mhm.
do it in a way that's going to make you successful. Because going back to that note of like going to classes every day, because no one's holding your hand to do that. Most of the time, they don't take attendance. It's really up to you to go to those classes, and it's like
Mhm.
if you think about it, depending on how much you personally pay, and it's not even if you have scholarships, like every class you miss, it's like I don't know the numbers. Obviously, it just depends on how much you pay, how much
Like
your
per
school costs.
credit, yeah.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
you if you think about it, every class that you're missing out on at least like a couple $100 every single time.
Right, because college is that tuition is no joke,
Yeah,
especially at some of these private colleges.
exactly. Yeah.
So no, I definitely feel that, but I also feel like these days it may take people like maybe like 5 years
Hmm.
to finish their degree or more, or they could do it in like the 4 years or the three and a half
Yeah.
years and stuff like that. But I feel like sometimes people feel that pressure that they
Hmm.
have to like, and maybe some people do because it's like they are paying for
Hmm.
college themselves or they're taking out loans or they don't have like the safety net of just like what I mean.
Yeah.
So there could be that pressure, but I just kind of feel like especially like with maybe some of these majors, like these STEM majors, that like
Hmm.
they shouldn't like feel this like pressure to like be done and
Yeah.
like this, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, cause then it's just gonna stress themselves out,
Yeah.
Especially like me, I was undecided
Yeah.
going into college. My dad wanted me to do a specific major. I went into it doing that,
Hmm.
and I went to school up in North Dakota, and they had like good programs and stuff like that. But like,
Hmm.
I was in my sophomore year and I was just like, I was a pre-pharmacy major. And I just like, I was taking like I took organic chem, like I
Hmm.
can't believe I actually got a good grade in that class. But like
Hey.
I was just like, I don't know, I just got to this point where I'm just like, I don't know if I really want to major in this, and I didn't really know anything about computer science. I feel like it wasn't as popular back then. This was like 2013, and I feel like I was just taking random classes. So I was just like, I thought maybe I wanted to be like a social worker,
Hmm.
maybe like mathematics education. Like I was just
Hmm.
taking like different courses, and I took a intro to programming class,
Hmm.
and in the computer science department at my school, and it was challenging. Like it was unlike any class I've ever taken because I didn't do anything like that in high school. But it was just like it was different. It was a
Hmm.
different challenge, and I
Hmm.
actually like really enjoyed it. Um, but for me,
Hmm.
because like I was on like a scholarship, I was just like, okay, I need to graduate
Hmm.
like on time because or else like I'm not gonna have any money to
Yeah.
pay for the other years.
Hmm.
And so I was like, I need to lock in, pick a major. I stuck with computer science. It wasn't easy. It was
Hmm.
not easy, but I did it, and I think like those who feel like they can't or they're like incapable or something
Hmm.
because they think it's too complicated, like you can do it, okay?
Hmm.
Like it's not impossible. That's why Girls Dream Code
Hmm.
exists. Just to encourage more girls, especially girls of color, to really not feel like they don't belong in these spaces
Hmm.
or they can't like pursue this because they think it's like way in over their
Hmm.
But yeah, like, did you know you wanted to major in computer science?
And no, and
Right.
that's yeah. If you think, oh, it's I don't know, it seems intimidating. Like it doesn't matter. You just gotta take that step
Yeah.
because really, like honestly, like anyone can do it. As long as you are willing to put in the work. Obviously, it is going to be difficult. Because yeah, I also did not know I wanted to do computer science going into college. I was
Mhm.
like trying to get into like the medical field as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So and
Did
I
you have that pressure from your parents, or it was just like
it was more no, not
not
really.
really?
More so like
Okay.
kind of pressure on myself. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, like they make good money, right?
Yeah,
Like so
right,
like
right.
and you know, quickly I also found out that was not what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
Took my first intro to programming course, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And you know, going into the next classes, I was like, dang, this is not fun anymore.
Yeah.
But again, like it's like you keep going, and you're like, okay, like it's getting a little bit easier, but then
Mhm.
things start to get a little bit harder, and then you're like, okay, but like you just have more tools in your tool belt at that time. Like
Yeah.
every skill you gain, it's like it helps you like get over those harder parts in those classes. Yeah, like you mentioned, like finding your group of people. So like Girls Drink Code was definitely
Mhm.
that group for me personally. Yeah, so I had seen a flyer and
Uh-huh.
I had met your sister. She
Mhm.
interviewed me, and it was just a lot of fun. I loved the vibe
Yeah.
that you guys had here,
Mhm.
and obviously, like I ended up going into like your guys' internship, which was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like just the other people that you helped me meet as well. Like I'm
Mhm.
friends with some of the members of Girls Drink Code.
Oh,
Like
nice.
we go and hang out outside of whenever we're together here, and
Yeah.
it helps you keep going. Like you have other people who are just like you, first generation, you know, women
Mhm.
of color, and
Just like that, like support. Is that
exactly,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
definitely. Like every time, like I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. I always think back of like, you know what, I'm not the only one who's had like a hard experience in a course or with
Mhm.
other people that I've worked with, and just
Yeah.
seeing like um even the things that you've done in like your role as a software engineer, and then
Mhm.
you know again the other students that I grouped up with here,
Yeah.
it helps you just continue and stay motivated.
Right. Okay. So like the different schools
Mhm.
you go to,
Yeah.
because you go to a couple different schools. How do you feel like you make friends on campus? Because
Mhm.
for me, when I was at my school in North Dakota that will
Mhm.
not name, it was like a mid-sized campus. So it was
Mhm.
about like 16,000 students or so. So to me, that was big. I
Mhm.
couldn't go to the U. The U is overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of students at the
Mhm.
U. But, and I always just wonder, like, how do people make friends at a school that big? But
Mhm.
for me, at my campus, I feel like it was a bit harder to like meet
Mhm.
people, especially other like women, because
Mhm.
again, computer science there wasn't like that many of us, and I tried to join clubs, but I just feel like I wasn't like that like active in
Mhm.
clubs and stuff like that. And then I had my sister, so I have a twin sister. Like
Mhm.
she was at my campus for like the first 2 years, and then she transferred
Mhm.
and she's definitely more outgoing than me. So
Mhm.
then I'm just like, oh dang, now I gotta make some
Yeah.
friends. So it was definitely like a little bit of a struggle. But how did you like? How are you
Mhm.
making like? How do you make friends on campus?
Yeah. Again, like you
All
kind
three
of just
campuses.
yeah, yeah. You just kind of like gravitate towards the people who like you feel you might have more in common too. So again, like
Mhm.
I obviously like kind of go more towards the girls.
Yeah. Are you like in any clubs or like
Yeah.
involved? Mhm.
Um. So I mostly was involved with the data and computer science club that we had on campus. It
Yeah.
was originally just a data science club, but like I think it was like kind of nulling out like as people
Oh
who were
really?
like graduating, and like again like the people in our program there's only like 7 to 8 of us.
Weren't you like the president?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was like I kind of like brought it back up because I was like,
Okay.
dang, we need to like start meeting up. Like we're at an all women's campus.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
definitely the place to like get some
Mhm.
girls together, teach people how to code, which was a lot of fun because um I got to use like what I learned from the different college campuses and like show it to other people like
Yeah. Yeah.
how to code, or just kind of explain to people the different careers that you could take if they
Mhm.
pursue data or computer science.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, kind of getting like the major out there,
Mhm.
especially to women.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. But I do sometimes go to like the Latina Student Association meetings.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
sometimes I'll go to
Mhm.
their like cultural events. A
Yeah.
lot of them I'm friends with. So
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
An organization
Yeah,
like
girls
Girls
because yep.
Shameless plug. Just like there should be more. There
Mhm.
should be
For
more,
sure.
so that like it's something that like caters to everybody.
Mhm.
So I love that. So going on the topic of computer science, because we both majored it. Well, you're
Mhm.
majoring in it, and I majored in it. What was like your hardest class?
Mhm. Yeah. For sure, computer architecture.
Oh,
That was, oh my gosh, it
okay.
was very difficult for me. That was like, I was at the point I'm like, I don't think this is for me.
Oh no!
Like, I had to switch.
So that was the class that like almost made you.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
And this was last year actually.
Oh really?
So it was like I was already in too deep. I'm like,
yeah.
that was honestly, if it wasn't for that, I think I would have switched because I was like, I'm already in too deep.
You're locked in.
Yeah,
now.
exactly. I can't, like, I would not graduate on time if I switched majors. But no, I was like very close. I'm like, I was failing tests, guys. Like, it was not good. And I was like, oh my gosh. And honestly, I think I was probably meant to fail that class, but I was in his office hours every day, and I think he was just like, how can I fail this girl who's in here asking for help every day? So again, the grade does not define you. We're still here. We're about to graduate. So yeah, I mean, again, there's always those hard classes, but yeah, no, that one was very difficult for me.
But I feel like with some of those hard classes, like, it's really good to like, have like a professor that is available to help. Because let me tell you this, some professors are really smart, but they don't know how to teach.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a big difference. Like, it's a big difference. So those professors that like you gotta teach, exactly. I would definitely appreciate them, like, just being like, I mean, that's what they're there for. Their office hours, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm gonna be in there. Like, I need help. Like, you know. I remember like my Calc 2 professor, like, he was really young too. Like, he was really young. Like, I would say like he was like early 30s. I was like, you're kind of young, but he was just like really helpful. Like, he was just always willing to help, and I just really appreciated that. And then I remember like my he taught actually a couple of different courses, but he was just like just always willing just to like help students and stuff. So sometimes a professor really matters. If you have one of those professors that like we don't even know what's going on, forming study groups is like key. For sure. Because you gotta teach each other.
Exactly, for sure.
Okay, so your like toughest class was the computer architecture.
Yeah, I actually got lucky because, like, as hard as the class was, that specific professor is probably like my favorite. And all my college career, like, the class was difficult, but he was like, he always had office hours. He was willing to help, and like you can definitely tell like he like enjoyed his job, which was nice. So as hard as class was, like, I honestly, it wasn't like. That's probably what made me not quit, like, computer science. Was like the professor was cool, the class was just hard. It was like we got over it. I didn't have to worry about it again. So, yeah.
I feel like my toughest class, I had two. One was algorithm analysis. Oh my gosh, that class, there was only two things that went into the grade, just the midterm and the final. So, you know, it's heavily curved.
Yeah.
But like, nobody, like, he was one of those professors that like he's just writing things on the board and just regurgitating things. And it's just like, okay. So that was definitely one of those classes where like I needed a study group. So shout out to that study. I had like, I think at least 2 study groups, because I'm just like, I don't know what's going on, but you know, we move. And then the other class that was actually really difficult for me was it was like theoretical computer science. You know what? Halfway into the semester, I feel like a light bulb went off where it just suddenly clicked. But the first half, they got me. Like, I was so lost. And it wasn't like the professor was doing a bad job. I just think I was just so confused because, again, the theory versus the practical side of computer science is like, it's an adjustment, you know. Being a software engineer for like a couple years now, or let me not date myself. How many years it's been, but like, I don't use like theory as much, you know, because tech is constantly evolving. So I'm just always having to like learn new things. But that class was just really tricky for me. So I would say those two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say was like your most like favorite, or just like an interesting class you really enjoyed?
My favorite was my information security course. Okay. Like, it was like more on like the cybersecurity side. Yeah. The professor was great. I really enjoyed it. Like, his lectures were kind of funny. Yeah. Because he used like real life like scenarios, and he was like, yeah, Alice and Bob, like Bob's trying to take over Alice's account. That was a lot. It was a lot of fun. The content was fun. Like, our homework was like very interactive, where we were like attacking websites. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Low key, because so I went to grad school for computer science as well. Got my master's in that, and I feel like I also took like a computer security class, which was something different than what I took, like, or I didn't take anything like that in like undergrad, and I really enjoyed that class. Like, it was just like something new,
Yeah.
and just the activities that we had was just like it was just like really interesting. And we did a lot of like virtual machines and kind of setting
Oh
that up.
yeah,
So it
us
was like
too.
really cool. I also took like a data science course too.
Mm.
I don't feel like I learned much in that class,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was a lot of statistics. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know about this, but it was cool. It was
Yeah.
like I wanted to learn about it, and I did it. So, how do you feel like being like a woman of color, a
Mhm.
Latina, in like in the computer science department, or just majoring in computer science? Like, are there any like highs and lows?
I think the hardest part for me is like again 3 different colleges, different classes, and I'm in like all those classes combined,
Mm-hmm.
in one semester, there's probably like 4, maybe 5 other like Latino kids, and like including men, like
Yeah.
in all of those classes.
Oh wow,
So
that's a small
that's, yeah,
number.
it's a
Yeah.
very small number.
Uh-huh.
So that sucks because like you don't really have like as big of a connection like with
Yeah,
your
yeah.
people.
Mhm.
But again, like what's cool about that is like like all of us in that class, all the Latinos and stuff, like we're
Mhm.
paving the way for like more people to get into it. Because
Yeah.
it's like the more people you see getting into it, then that makes you feel like you can do it too.
Right,
Because
yeah.
you see like the lack of like representation, and you're like, well,
Mhm.
maybe like we're just not meant to do that. And we
Right.
are. You can do it. So if you're
Yes.
Latino, like trying to get, or Latina trying to get into computer science, like definitely get into it because it'll
Mhm.
just bring more people, and that's what we need.
Right, period. Yeah, I feel like again, back then, like I feel like computer science is definitely a lot more popular now, I
Yeah. Oh
feel.
yeah.
But back then, like there just weren't that many women in my program as well as just black women, women of color. I don't even think I had a Latino in
Yeah.
any of my class.
Exactly. Yep.
There was like a few like Latino men, but
Mhm.
again, I could count them. You know what
Yes.
I mean?
Exactly.
And then like yeah, black men and women, just like again, I could count with the number of like how many of them were there.
Mhm.
So it's definitely like heavily white male, Asian male,
Mhm.
Indian male. So it's like heavily like male.
Yep.
And if there were like women, it would be like white women or like
Mhm.
Indian women. Like
Yeah.
so I just didn't really see a bunch of like black women, definitely not a lot of Latina
Yeah.
women. And so there were times where I just felt a little bit alone. I remember one time, it was like one of the classes that we needed to take for
Mhm.
computer science. It was like this calculus statistics type of course. And I remember like this one guy, cause like I like knew of him, but
Mhm.
like I wasn't like close with him or whatever. But he was just surprised to see me in the class. He was
Oh.
just like, "Oh, what are you doing in this class?" I'm just like I need to take this class
Yeah.
like for the major. He's just like, "Oh, you're majoring in computer science." I'm like,
Oh.
"Why is that your initial like? Why
Yeah.
else would I be in this class?
Yeah.
Like this class is only for either
Mhm.
stats majors or computer science majors. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?"
Yep.
Or like math majors. So it's like
Yeah.
you're questioning like me being in the, like what are you
Mhm.
doing in this
Yep.
class? And I had a lot of different instances like that, like working on group projects.
Mhm.
Don't even get me started with
Yeah.
that, where it's just like you're like dismissed or not even like
Mhm.
your viewpoints aren't acknowledged or different things like that.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I'm in the
Yeah.
trenches, okay?
Yeah.
That's why whenever if I did have to like pair up with somebody, like I would choose like the other woman. Like
Yes.
so I remember it was like me and this other Chinese girl, like we would do a lot of projects together
Mhm.
because I'm like, yeah, like you know
Yep.
what I mean?
Mhm. Oh yeah, for sure. No,
Yeah.
anytime I do projects too, it's always like just going to the
It's
girls
just
because
more comfortable,
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I will say though, I do feel like it's getting better. Like
Okay.
maybe compared to back then for sure, because
Mhm.
like it's like more women are getting into it, more
Yeah.
people of color are getting into it. So it's
Yeah.
like it kind of forces people to be like, okay, like this, like everyone can get
Yeah.
into computer science. So people
Mhm.
are starting to get more accustomed to that. But to
Yeah.
say like those types of interactions are gone forever, it's unfortunately not the
Yeah.
case. But it is
Unfortunately.
getting better, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do see that like now because it wasn't a thing back when I was in
Mhm.
college. Like women specific like computer science clubs.
Yeah.
They did have like SWE,
Mhm.
Society of Women Engineers, but again, it was mostly like mechanical engineering
Mm.
majors or like civil, like
Yeah.
those types.
Mhm.
For some reason, my school they didn't consider computer science as part of engineering. It's like, you
Okay.
know what, whatever.
Yeah.
Like we're still software engineering is very much
Exactly.
engineering. Thank you.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
but like I feel like now because like with Girls Dream Code, sometimes we'll interact with some of these other student groups. like the U of M has like a lot of like girl coding groups, and I love to see it. You know, you are leading like computer science, data science club at your school. It's a women's college. Yeah, I think there's like a bunch. There's a bunch, like even at like all the other like local schools here. There's like a bunch, and I really do like to see that. And like, you know, create. So to wrap this up, what like what's like a piece of advice that you would tell to your freshman year self, where you're at now, because you're gonna be a senior, so like any advice that you would give to your freshman year self?
Yeah. Honestly, it kind of goes back to like what we talked about in the beginning. It's just kind of like just like give yourself time, like let yourself adjust, and things don't have to be all figured out at the very beginning. You know, whether that's your major or like the people you're friends with, even just like what you eat on a daily basis. It's like it's all gonna figure itself out. Just with time, you'll find the routine, and then you'll find out what you're interested in. You'll find your group of people. So just like be patient with yourself.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I would probably echo that too. Just because like all things, just like, you know, studying, classes, friends, eating, trying to like, you know, be involved on like all of that stuff. Like, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just like let things happen naturally. I know FOMO is definitely a thing, but you know, I just feel like you just gotta like find, you know, your group, and you know, don't compromise, you know, your values for anything. You know, everybody's college experience is different. So just try to, you know, just, you know, make the most of it. All right. So this was a nice conversation. We'll be having more of these chats. Each episode will be a different topic. Let us know, you know, as you keep, you know, watching and viewing, let us know if there's any certain topics that you want us to talk about, or just like, you know, anything you want to hear, or just, you know, want our insight into. I love listening to other people's podcasts, so it's kind of fun that now we're creating.
I know, exactly. Plus, more, you know, more women's voices are always better.
Exactly. So thanks for watching.
Thanks.
And we'll catch you guys in the next episode of Code Unlocked.